need to turn the lighting on for us, but yeah, I think we're good for lighting. And they just get the background people and stuff, but I think that's all good.
Sure.
So, cheers.
Cheers to world peace.
World peace, solving all the world's problems today. Hopefully it's Kevin here. Thanks, guys. It's Kevin and Robert. Hi, Vancouver. And what's your mortgage company again?
The Mortgage Advantage.
The Mortgage Advantage. We're just sitting here having a chit chat today. If you're coming down, make sure you come in, grab me. I've got my money. I got my money with burning holes in it waiting for you. So, if you're watching and you can't make it down, that's all good too. We'll hopefully we'll give you some tidbits about life or something interesting here today. Thank you. So we were talking about heart disease.
Heart disease.
Yeah. Exciting stuff.
Yeah. You're talking about aggressive dieting to take better care of our hearts.
Yeah.
And all that. And you were telling me about what you're doing to take better care of yourself and your heart.
Yeah.
With the absence of any drugs, which was surprising to me because normally if you have any heart issues, you're on a handful of drugs.
Right. Well, I got off them very early. I'm anti-drug. Oh, shucks, eh? Get you a napkin. Get a napkin. Well, there you go. This is live, so we can't edit that out.
There we go.
Dancing and everything else you're going to throw in there. This is live, baby. This is live.
It's live. We even spilled the coffee live.
That's it. Maybe that's what spilled. They call it spill the tea. We're going to do spill the coffee.
There you go. There you go. Sorry about that, Dylan.
No, it's all good. So, for me, as I was saying, I'm very against being on drugs.
Right.
I think drugs are toxic for us as humans. I think that, in our Western medical sector, they're geared, everything that industry is geared towards, unfortunately for me, is to administer drugs.
Yep.
And so that's propagated and created by large pharma and large drug companies and stuff. And don't need to get all into that, but this is a personal decision for me, and I'm paying attention.
Right.
And maybe they're paying attention for the first time in my life. This has changed everything. It's a game changer.
Right.
And you said you have
I've got a heart problem as well.
heart
so, yeah,
challenge as well. So we're talking
absolutely,
about a topic that hits home for you too.
Right.
And I lost. I think I told you this before. I lost 37 pounds.
Right.
I got up to 200 pounds. When I went to the hospital, I lost 10 immediately just from laying in bed, and I lost the other 27 over, I'd say, 4 months.
Great. Yeah. Good for you.
And now I'm at a kind of a sitting weight. Well, that's all based on two real factors: diet and then exercise.
Right.
I exercise every day.
Right.
There's no, I do. Earlier on, I had to take days off just because the healing process wouldn't allow me to really get in there and do that exercise at that level. But now I exercise pretty much every day.
Right.
And I did take yesterday off, as I say that.
Okay.
But on the weekend, I played football, and my muscles were, I was so sore. I was so sore. I was walking around like this, like a zombie.
Good for you. I'm glad to hear it.
But long story short, that came to the topic that you asked about how I'm not on the drugs right now. Like, they'll give me, what are the main drugs? They give you a blood thinner.
Blood thinner, usually a cholesterol pill.
Cholesterol pill.
Maybe a high blood pressure pill.
Right. Yeah. I forget the names of the drugs, but trust me, my cardiologist didn't like me saying I'm not taking those.
Right. I bet not.
They're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
So I actually said to her, I've learned from the top cardiologist potentially in the world about health and heart disease specifically. And I've read a couple of his books, and I'm on his stuff, and this is what he tells me to do so that I don't have to take. Now, for his extreme clients, he still says take, there's one of the drugs he still says to take.
Right.
And the baby aspirin. is not going to hurt you very much. There's very little side effects, but I'd rather do none.
Right.
And so like the diet I'm on is all, as you said, like no face.
Nothing with a face.
Nothing with a face. That's how he starts.
Right.
But this diet goes a lot more extreme than that. Like the normal diet for North American diet is about 36% fat in their diets. My diet is roughly 10% fat.
That is extreme.
Right? That's almost 25%.
Yeah, less than the average.
Yeah.
Right.
75% less than the average.
Right.
So that's how. Now the other thing that I've added, like vegetables are so healthy for us, and I'm not going to get into the science of it all, but the other thing that I've added that is extremely healthy, and to ensure that my blood stays thin, because I'm not even taking the aspirin, which is the key or the main daily blood sugar they want you to take, right? So I'm not even taking that, and so to supplement, I've got some supplements, but I have garlic in everything I like. I eat, not everything I eat, but I eat garlic every day.
Sure.
Okay, and it's between 1 to 2 cloves worth of garlic. Yeah. And if I don't have it in my food, I'll actually slice it up and swallow it like pills.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's one thing, and that's amazing for blood thinner. Onions, those are both super healthy foods.
Super.
Yeah. And then I have cayenne. I have cayenne pepper in all my soups and stews.
Okay.
Cayenne pepper again is
a blood thinner.
Another right. So it's about the whole system being elevated. Right. Yeah. I mean, I got energy.
Right. You
I've always
great.
I've always had energy. But yeah.
Well, good for you. Good for
yeah.
you.
I noticed, it's a funny thing. I noticed in a photo, and my sister-in-law told me it the other day. I had blue eyes, but they kind of gotten light, and tilting towards gray blue.
Oh, since you've changed your diet?
No, prior, as I was getting sick.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then, so my sister-in-law told me the other day, she goes, wow, your eyes are like the full color, like when you were young again. Your eyes are that color, and they seem to be getting more that color, so.
Okay.
So his diet's reversing a lot of stuff.
You're like Benjamin Button.
Benjamin Button reversing. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
You're starting to look like Brad Pitt. I'll believe everything you just told me.
Right? Exactly. So one topic I know that everybody is always interested in, and everyone knows I'm a realtor, and so as well. But maybe you share a little bit about from the mortgage broker side, what's happening? What are you seeing happen in the marketplace today?
Well, I think what's most changed in the last few months is that as interest rates have risen, and they've risen about 1 full percentage point as far as fixed rate mortgages are concerned, they've only risen about 1/4% on variable rate mortgages. But as this has started to occur, there was a bit of or as the discussion of it started to occur, there was a bit of a charge into the market for people that said, if we don't get in now, we're not going to get in because mortgages are going to get more expensive.
Right.
And they have got a little bit more expensive. But at the same time, the problem is the listings, as you well know as a realtor on the market, are about 30% lower than they were a year ago at this same time.
And last year was low inventory at the same time.
Last year, everybody was crying because there was no inventory. Well, it's 30% worse this year.
Right.
So prices are sky high, and people are a bit gun shy about what does that mean?
Right.
What's going to happen?
Is it a bubble?
Is it a bubble? Yeah.
Is it going to keep going up?
Right.
Some of the forecasts are saying 8 to 10% in Vancouver. Further out, it's even more. So yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that have mortgages that have been pre-approved 3-4 months ago at around 2%.
Okay.
Now, if they came in today, we'd be at 3%. So some of those people with expiring pre-approvals are going to lose that rate, the lower rate, and they're going to be looking at a higher cost per month of ownership. So what's that going to do? Yeah. I mean, it could definitely slow things down, but with the lack of inventory, I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Right.
Yeah.
Supply and demand factors are going to probably go from extreme to not quite as extreme.
Right. Right.
So you're saying I don't know if our audience knows about the way that mortgage funding works. You're saying that they could lose their funding? What does that mean? Like, is there a lock-in period?
Yeah, basically, if you came to me for your mortgage pre-approval today, I'd collect an application and some tax documents, income proof, that type of thing, and we would go to the appropriate institution for your situation, and we'd get you a rate hold for usually 120 days, 4 months.
Okay, so up to 4 months.
Right. So let's say rates today, I come to you, I give you a pre-approval for 3% on a fixed mortgage.
Yeah.
But 4 months from now, the rates have gone to 3.5%. You haven't bought a house yet. Well, then
still honor that.
They'll honor it right up to the 120 days.
But that's going to be the completion date, not the date that you make the offer.
Correct.
It has to be the completion date. So that's where, see, that's awesome that you say that, because that's where a lot of people get it confused. They get it twisted around.
Right.
And they think, oh, I got my lock-in.
Yeah.
No, that lock-in date is the time that a mortgage has to actualize. It has to be in place.
So we've got like March, April, May, June. I could give you a rate hold till the end of June. But if somebody's out with you and finds the right appropriate home in June and it doesn't close till July, that rate does no longer.
Now they got the higher rate, and
it doesn't mean they don't. It doesn't mean they don't qualify for the mortgage, but it does mean they won't get that rate.
Right, and it could mean that they don't qualify for the mortgage. Now the rates have gone up by a percent if they're going for the lock-in.
It could potentially mean that. In most cases, and I hesitate to say it won't affect it, but we don't qualify them on the actual rate. Like if I give you a rate of 3%, we use a mortgage stress test rate that's mandated by the federal government. Right now it stands at 5.25%. And that may change, but it hasn't changed yet. So who knows?
Okay, so that's great to know.
Yeah.
So then it probably wouldn't impact your qualification because of that stress test.
Right.
So that probably was a smart thing for the government to implement, especially when the whole marketplace collapsed. What year was that? Remember when the whole world was having financial problems with respect to mortgaging and
well,
the United States
that was
huge.
2008. That was the great mortgage crash of 2008.
Oh, I'm sitting on a vent and I'm like, why is it hot back here? I'm like, that coffee ain't that hot. 2008, yeah. So that was crazy. And so they made those changes to
they didn't make all those changes then, but they've subsequently made a number of changes over the years, tightening up qualification rules to the point where now you got to be pretty financially together to get a mortgage for sure, compared to what it used to be.
Well, I just sent Robert some nice new plans.
Thank you very much.
And they've been pre-approved, and we're shopping.
Correct.
And we found a good home, but didn't quite. It didn't make sense. So we would have been in. There were 9 other bids on that property. We would have been the 10th. But it didn't make sense. So I told them, I said, I wouldn't buy that house. I wouldn't buy that condo.
Right. Okay.
For a number of reasons. I can say they don't know. Nobody knows the address. Right. So it was an old stucco building. It had said they had rain screening, but in all the minutes, and the minutes it was like obviously poorly managed. And in the minutes they were showing water ingress issues 4 different times in the last year. And there was no engineer study, no engineer report, only for the elevator.
Okay.
And I said, well, you could hire an inspector to basically do their engineer report for them to give you to give you a good understanding. But that inspection for a whole condo, that would cost really, I'd say at least $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 at least for a comprehensive thing. And I said, I can't tell you to put an offer on this. If you do this, it's on your own. You're welcome to buy it because they loved the place it was for. It was terrible. And then the other thing was in the bylaws, and I keep telling realtors to do this, like if there's a pet restriction, and so if any of you guys are out there looking for a place and you're looking for condos and you have pet requirements, make sure that your agent is asking this question is, what specifically are the pet restrictions? Because most of them, they say pet restrictions.
Right.
Or pets allowed.
Right.
Or no pets.
And what does that mean? Yeah.
But they don't say what it means.
Yeah. And it says pets allowed. It's how much do they weigh and how tall are they usually?
Well, if they say pets allowed, that means no restrictions except for the governmental restrictions that would be in place, or the city restrictions or whatever. So if it says no restrictions, now again,
make sure.
Oftentimes, what I find is the realtor may or may not have gotten the documents. They're supposed to order the documents before listing a condo these days. That's a fairly new enacted setup.
Right.
But still, I find a lot don't.
Right.
They want to save the money.
Right.
You save the money. You're slowing the process down.
Yeah,
exactly. I think I would state that today, though, most are complying based on the speed that things are selling.
Right.
You've got to do that in advance, otherwise you're going to stall your sale out.
Exactly.
So the market's helping realtors.
Because as a mortgage broker, I'm going to ask for all those things like day one.
Right.
And if there's a 5-day lag, you're in trouble.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Well, that's what I told them is that this one, even though there's 9 offers, and even though it's going to sell at the price range that we talked about, we were talking about 100 to 200 over ask was the range. They were underpriced, the gang. And I said, even though there's going to be a lot of bids that are going to be in our category where you guys are willing to go, what's going to happen, unfortunately, is, or what could happen is, that because their agent didn't tell them to watch out for not having the minutes, not having the information that's required, or looking at the red flags, they could get to closing date, and unless they're really strong financially, they could get to closing date, and there could be a problem.
Right.
It doesn't mean that they got it, even though they got it.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah. And you see those situations happen from time to time where they get a little bullish on moving ahead.
It's just going to win no matter what.
Right. And then something comes up in the minutes that the lender doesn't like, and all of a sudden you're scrambling for financing.
Right.
Not a good situation.
Going to mom and dad. It's not fun having to go to mom and dad unless they're in part of the equation in advance. If you got to go to mom and dad or some other family member or something and say, hey, by the way, I need 50 to 100,000. Can you help me out? That's not a great conversation to have oftentimes, right?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Better be safe than sorry.
Yeah. Crazy. Wow. It's a new brave world.
A new brave world, yeah. So how are the listings? What are listings looking like? Are we getting more inventory on the market? Is that
we'll see.
Improving or deteriorating?
I mean, they're coming in for sure. We'll see a push as I think halfway through end of March and then through spring. Spring's always busier. It doesn't mean better, but it is always busier, and that means usually more inventory hits the marketplace, but then also a lot more buyers jump. So it may actually put more of a pinch. We'll see what happens, right? Yeah, I've got a nice old house / lot that I'm listing this week in Kitsilano.
Okay.
Land value $3 million, just under. The value of the land is roughly $3 million. It's about 2.9 to 3.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we're listing it just over 3.
Okay. And that'll probably be gone.
We'll see. West side's not, but the west side is not housing. It's not as brisk because of the pricing, right? Same thing like in West Vancouver. It's not as brisk as far as the sell. Things still hopping, but it's not as brisk as many other sectors in the market, like condos. West side condos, yeah, they're still popping. They're, you're going to look at condos downtown from, let's say, 800. Even 750 and up, really, depending, right? I mean, there's some small spaces out there. So.
I was also I wanted to know your opinion on this cooling off period that the BC government is proposing.
Yeah. Well, that's a really smart question. I love that. I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard of the cooling off period. It's proposed. I think it will be mandated. Initially, they were looking at doing it for 1 week. So the cooling off period is basically like when you buy a brand new home, There's a mandated, that's not called a cooling off period. That's basically called a disclosure statement. They give you 1 week to go through the documents and to change your mind, essentially. So, but it's tied into the disclosure statement, because when you're buying a new place, they've got disclosure statement, a read that's a legal read that's that thick. And if you don't know what to do, you know, I always say, take it to your lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm going through it with you, but take it to your lawyer. So I'm always doing that. And so they're looking at enacting a 3-day cool-off period for all real estate. I don't know. My feeling is it's another strategy for the government voting. That's, to me, this is what this is about. This isn't about the marketplace. The government isn't really the factor in having an impact on the marketplace.
And it could have unintended consequences.
It could.
Right.
It could. It's like, and then what they'll do is once that's enacted, then the media will get on it, and then they'll start talking about the market collapse. I mean, that's their intention, is to try to impact the market. But I don't know that it's going to, and it may actually reverse. Well, the 3-day hold period won't. But what it might do is it might kill deals that don't need to be killed. Because, like, in new construction, you don't have a chain reaction going on.
Right, because you're not linked up to another set of buyers or sellers.
Right, but in the open marketplace, the first-time buyers bought somebody else's home, who's buying somebody else's home, who's buying somebody else's home, who's buying somebody else's home.
Right.
And so each of those having a 3-day cool-off period, it could, I'm going to say the likelihood of an increase of one of those homes in that chain collapsing increases.
Right, it's like a domino effect then.
And then if
And
that
they all
happens,
fall-
now
they
you've
all
got
fall.
5 properties that all fell apart.
Right, yeah. Very complicated.
Yeah, the government didn't do the research. They're not in the industry. They don't know. So they're just winging from the hip, sitting in their desk and thinking, well, this is a good idea.
Right.
Wait a tick. No. Have you consulted any realtors that have been in this industry for 30, 40, 50 years? Have you consulted us? And the answer was they didn't. They didn't come in. Afterwards, they started asking questions, and we started proactively saying we need to send them information that's going to help switch what they're projecting.
Right.
And so BCRA set up questionnaires and surveys and stuff through the board, and tons of us realtors, put our information and our stamp on that, and we'll see what happens. Yeah.
And when is the date?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. That'll be probably a conversation I have with my partner today. Now that you bring it up, thank you.
There you go.
Right. So, what are some other good topics? I mean, I think we hit a couple of good points.
Well, I guess the other thing that everybody's probably wondering is what is the war in Ukraine going to mean to the economy, interest rates? What's it going to do to
pricing on food,
inflation?
Gas. I mean, we've seen that right away.
This is a really uncharted territory for people our age. I mean, our parents would have gone through this, and maybe explains why they were so ultra conservative after going through a war,
right?
When things did get rather ridiculous price-wise and supply issues, etc. But I wonder about that right now. I know it's still a very new situation, but with the supply side contracting and interest rates rising and fuel costs rising, which is going to definitely cause some inflationary pressure.
Right.
It's really a big question mark.
Right.
What that's going to look like.
Right. Yeah, it's
I don't have a clue. I'm just putting it on the table.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Well, those are all the areas of the potential impact that it could have, right? So
it could have.
It's scary, right? I mean, war is never good. It's like you're walking down the street and if somebody, says you're an idiot, and you decide to get in a fight with them. There's no winner, right? Same thing with war. There's no winners, right? I mean, maybe there is on their front. Maybe they're getting what they want, but their public and the people in their countries lose, people die, their lives are shattered.
Very sad situation.
Yeah. And then what we see isn't always real. You know, there's layers of truth to everything, right? What media is showcasing it, and what's their agenda? Do they have an agenda? And the answer is, yeah, media, to me, I believe that media usually is agenda driven. Whether you're left or you're right, I think they're coming at it from a perspective.
There's always a particular
It's a tilt.
angle.
Yeah. So just be aware that, be aware of the tilt. Things happen, but I've already heard a lot of different stuff from different sides that say, this wasn't even parts of this aren't even real.
Right.
And you don't really know what the heck to believe, and that could be part of the strategy as well. Right? So throw enough shade, throw enough questions, create enough doubt, and then maybe you become passive or just wellish. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's the reason I don't like politics, honestly. It just, the gamesmanship is just so insane. It takes the everyday life where you're just living life. But politicians, the games level is just, it's insane.
Right.
They're playing 3D chess while we're playing checkers. Especially if you're not paying attention, right? Oh man.
On a more positive note, today's International Women's Day.
Yes.
Probably should
high five your mama.
High five your mama.
High five to all the mamas.
Yeah. Or at least think of your mama if she's not.
Yeah.
So that's. I was noticing in terms of the war, there's about 31,000 women enlisted in the Ukrainian armed forces. So high five to them and good luck to them.
Wow.
I would say that all women around the world are cheering them on.
I'm cheering them on for safety and everyone being good and safe. That would be my number one goal behind it all. But it's just this war stuff. I try to be positive mindset. So one of the things that I do is I actually don't watch the news. I don't read the newspaper. Well, you're not informed, Kev. Yeah. Maybe I don't need to be on all things, right? And there's enough splash out there in social media. You're seeing stuff as it is, and I try and turn that off too. So I used to have on my Twitter account, I used to have tons of news, and I still have them, but I don't never go to Twitter anymore because that's pretty much an ugly news feed. Where social media still is a lot less general social media. I find that it creates darkness. On a personal level for me because I'm an optimist. I'm happy-go-lucky, and then you got all this negative energy coming at you.
Right. Yes.
So, and I helped my wife get off the news. Helped her dad get off the news, and her dad was like walking around with a frown, like this, "Ooh, the world's coming at me" kind of energy. We helped him, and it's changed him, it shifted him. Now he's out helping his neighbors instead of sitting there watching news, getting cranky. He's out there. He still watches some. I'm going to keep it real, but he's not living on the news, And my wife has taken that model to. She's in the healthcare sector, so she helps a lot of sick people end of life and stuff. And they can't get up, so one of the things they do is they turn on CNN. They're looking at all the negative news around the world at all times.
Not a healthy diet to be immersed in that all day.
That'll spin you down in a hurry.
Absolutely.
One of the people asked how you've healed pretty quick. And I get that a lot, and I did. One of the things that helped me dramatically was I was following the path that I was supposed to, so exercise and food. I'm staying on point with that. But I was watching comedy. I was watching comedy every single day. Pulling up YouTube channel and looking for comics and laughing, finding joy. And sometimes I could feel my brain go from almost on the edge of depression, because that's one of the side effects of having a heart surgery, then going happy.
Right.
You know, like all of a sudden I could feel it's like you could feel something in your brain shift.
Definitely.
By laughing.
Yeah, it's definitely therapy.
Yeah.
Positive, very positive.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now, I'm not saying go to the mirror and laugh. I'm not saying don't.
No. Don't binge watch Seinfeld.
Right? We all need to become totally stupid.
Anyway, this has been great, Robert. Thank you very much. If you ever need a great mortgage guy, this guy's the man. And thank you guys for chiming in. I'm going to log off now. And chime in if you're going to come and grab me tomorrow for a coffee. Or, you know, we'll see what topics we talk about tomorrow, whoever shows up. Thanks, guys, for checking in.
Thanks, Kevin.